Hello, everybody, and welcome to Benivo Bites. We are live. I see Ray is there from Vancouver, Aaron from Bengaluru, where people are coming in from all over the world, Stephanie from Chicago. It's great to see you all. There's so many of you coming in, and we've got such an important show for you today. We've got so much we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Ukraine and the crisis in Ukraine and also what's happening in Russia. We're going to be covering those subjects. But also, of course, it was International Women's Day yesterday, and I'm delighted to say that our special guest is Jennifer Ah Whaye from Mondelez, and she's going to be talking about what's going on with Mondelez and how they're using technology. And also, we've got a ChangeMaker. I'm delighted to say we've got Begonya Armengol from Evotec, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about her company and everything that the charity that she supports. So it really, really is a very full, action-packed agenda that we've got today. I see people are coming in all over the world. So you know how it works, everybody. Join the conversation, write in the comments box, tell us who you are, where you are, what's up, where you are, the weather, I don't care, just say something so that we know you're out there and chat with each other. That's what this is all about. So as I said, today's show, we've got a load to cover, but one of the things we are going to cover is a live case study with Mondelez, and that's going to be coming up in a short while. So really, really exciting lineup today. And then, of course, we're back next week. And next week, we're meeting another great company and another great mobility professional. I'm delighted to say next week, we're meeting Sally Harris from Intel. So we're going to go inside Intel, as they say. So we've got loads and loads of things coming up, but you know how it works. Every week, we also like to just give you a little bit of breaking news about what's been going on in our industry. So let me just do that. Let me just tell you a little bit about the breaking news that has happened in the current week. So here we go. Here are all the movers and shakers. So congratulations to everybody who's been promoted or who's moved job. We're so excited for you. And a real special personal shout out to Michelle Curran, who's actually joined the Benivo team. So welcome on board, Michelle. But thank you and welcome to everybody, and congratulations to everybody who has moved or been promoted. One of the great things about this show is not only do you get to see your friends in the LinkedIn chat, not only do you get good technical information, you find out what's going on in the world, you get all the gossip in the industry, but you also get CPE credits. And here are your credits. So you've got from ERC, we've got the GMS and CRP credits, and then courtesy of our friends at Rocket Mortgage, we've got the HRCI and the SHRM credits. So load of things going on, but obviously the big big topic of the last, whatever it's been, 13, 14 days, and sadly, I think will be a topic for quite a while, is the horrendous crisis that's going on in Ukraine. And we're going to start off by talking about that. And I'm absolutely delighted that we've got Julia Onslow-Cole with us as ever. And Julia is going to be talking to us with some breaking news as well about what's going on and things you really, really need to know about what's going on with Ukraine and with Russia. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on a good friend of this show, our regular feature, Julia Onslow-Cole.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, good to see you. And I know you and I know thousands of immigration lawyers around the world have been beavering away to do everything they can to help. And I know lots of people in their companies have been doing a huge amount to help. In fact, we're going to be talking a bit more about what some companies are doing in other areas in a moment. But Julia, from a immigration point of view, when I first sort of thought we'd bring you onto the show, which must be 2 years ago now, I thought, how often does immigration change? And I thought, what are we going to have enough to talk about each week? And then of course we had the pandemic with all the stuff with borders and changes going on, and then we've got this awful catastrophe going on. So much to talk about. I won't eat into your time. Julia, tell us all the latest.
Yeah, thank you. And also, well put, Diane. That was a lovely message she just said. Our hearts are with everybody. So also a big thank you to the Fragaman team, and particularly Kasia Pinska. So at the moment, about 2 million people have left Ukraine and are mostly gone to Europe, and over 1 million in Poland. And the big news since last week is that this EU Temporary Protection Directive has been approved. So as you know, the Ukraine is bordering on a number of countries, Poland, Slovakia and Hungary, which are EU members and also signed up to Schengen, and then Romania, which is a non-Schengen country but part of the EU. So the Protection Directive affects every country in the EU, but particularly relevant for Romania, Poland, Slovakia and Hungary, but obviously it applies to everybody in the EU. And it's really exceptional that the EU has managed to get this temporary directive up so quickly. They discussed it once in 2001, but it's really never been triggered, and it's a real first for European history. So what it does, it gives a synchronized solution for Ukrainian nationals, and it gives them rights to stay, access to the labour market, a speedy resolution of their position, initially 1 year's stay, extendable up to 3, access to healthcare, etc. Now, it's a directive, and what that means is each country has to implement it. So we don't really know exactly all the details until that has happened. Belgium is been first off the blocks, and they've already started to open registrations, but there's a lot of questions that people have about this directive. And so one of the questions people have is that, what happens if people have entered prior to February the 24th, because everything's talking around the February the 24th as being the kind of start date. So what if people moved, and a number of people moved around the 5th and 6th of February? And, again, there isn't a definitive answer for that. I mean, Poland has got some very good options anyway outside the temporary directive, and we'd like to think that people will be very generous, even if people have moved a little earlier than the 24th. But that is a question that people are asking. Another question they're asking is that they really would like the Ukrainian citizens who are in Europe to be on assignment, because, you know, obviously it's hopeful that they'll go back, and they don't really want to, employers don't really want to put them as locally hired people. And then does that fit in with the temporary directive? That's another question. And then another question still about people who don't have biometric passports. So in short, there are a lot of questions around all these issues, but fantastic development, utterly amazing that the EU acted in such a coordinated approach and brought in such positive resolution. The UK has a Ukrainian family scheme, but it is actually just for people who want to bring in relatives. It has been opened and widened in the last 24 hours for uncles and nephews, etc., but of people who are settled in the UK. The other thing to say is, for Russian citizens, the simplified process for Schengen visas has actually been suspended in a number of countries. So that's Estonia, Lithuania, and the Czech Republic. And also, you know, it is just generally getting a little bit harder for Russian citizens to get visas. One option for Russian citizens is Kazakhstan, and particularly for those Russian citizens who have lower income and lower qualification. And also there are some options in Latin America, but we're also sort of running into sanctions issues, because, you know, we need for certain visa types, document procurement, courier services, and because of sanctions issues, there's challenges there. And obviously there's general challenges because of the airspace, etc. So one option that for Russian citizens that's particularly attractive is the UAE and Dubai. And earlier in the week, I was actually speaking directly to the government in the UAE with Abir, who's one of our partners in our Dubai office. And they are being very welcoming to citizens from the Ukraine and from Russia. The positive thing for Russian citizens is that the UAE accept the Sputnik vaccine, which is not WHO approved, and there's no visa requirement for the UAE. So you can, if you can get to the UAE, there's no visa requirement. But one of the biggest challenges is there's this remote working category, very, very attractive for the UAE. But you need to be earning 5,000 US dollars a month. And the problem is that with the ruble, which has dropped 40%, people who could have proved that now can't. And so we were talking to the government about, well, could you, for example, the local company, make it up and give them an allowance? And they're going away to think about these things, but I suspect that they will be quite flexible and supportive. And you know, the good thing about getting on the remote working visa is that you can open a bank account, you can rent accommodation, which is all really positive, which you can't do as a visitor. And one of the things which is a sort of breaking news item when we're talking to the government this week is they said that they're looking at making space available in the expo. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of the expo. It's utterly amazing, and it's amazing space. It's so well connected by metro to Dubai, and at the end of this month it finishes. They had lots of very exciting plans for the expo, but they're saying, you know, that would be a place that new businesses can start up and accommodation could be given. So that's a bit of breaking news, and I've already, you know, we've been telling a lot of people about that. So I just wanted to finally touch on the response to the crisis from Asia Pacific. First of all, Australia, the government hasn't made any specific announcements for Ukraine, and although we don't think there's likely to be a sort of increase over the current humanitarian intake, it's likely they will do a carve out for certain placements, and they have announced that those who are in Australia on a temporary visa can have the opportunity of automatic extensions. And then in Singapore, there has been some exceptional treatment for some Ukrainian companies, and there's been some negotiations with the Economic Development Board and the Singapore government. Ukrainian nationals don't need visas to go to many countries actually in the Asia Pacific region. if you're Russian citizen and you want to go to Singapore, it's very challenging because, of course, you know from previous shows that Singapore was very tough about vaccine. We've talked about that before. We've talked about employers being worried and that they have a responsibility to make sure people have been vaccinated. And the Sputnik vaccine is not recognized. So you have to have another vaccine. And you do see this now in immigration. I do know of people, you know, I famously know of one person that's got 14 passports, and I now know of lots of people who've got many, many different types of vaccination to try and fulfill all the immigration requirements of various countries. So it's important that if you were a Russian citizen and you wanted to go to Singapore and you are going on a short-term visa to start with, that you find a country where there is a vaccine travel lane. So one potential option would be, for example, you go to the UAE where you don't need a visa, where your Sputnik visa, your vaccine is accepted, and then you could then perhaps get another vaccine while you were there, and then you could go from there on to Singapore, maybe apply for an employment pass, but it will take a while. So just finally, just two more countries. India, the Indian embassy in Russia is still approving visas. And China, we've actually done quite a lot of investigations of China, but at the moment, China, which has a zero tolerance for COVID, they have got a number of cases, and it's taking up to 4 months to get an RU approval letter. And there's no special expedited process as far as we can see from our conversations with governments over the last couple of days. So that's a bit of a global roundup, Brian. Thank you, my colleagues, for that.
Julia, that was amazing. And everybody, let's give a big, big round of applause, virtual round of applause. Hit the like, hit the heart, and just hit the love. Just send it out there for Julia. What we're going to do now, we're going to stick on the subject of Ukraine, but we're going to be talking about what other companies are doing. And I'm delighted to be, well, we're saying goodbye to you, Julia, but I'm delighted to be bringing on stage Nitsan Udan, to be talking in particular about what Benivo is doing, but we're going to talk generally also about what other companies are doing in this area. So Julia, thank you so much. And we'll say goodbye to you, and then we'll bring Nitsan on stage now. And let's bring Nitsan on stage. So Nitsan, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good. Okay, I mean, obviously a lot has been going on generally. A lot of companies have pulled out of Russia and you know, big companies like Coca-Cola and McDonald's and some of the accounting firms and some and so many companies. I won't go into that, but also a lot of companies are doing a lot for their employees around the world. I see Steve Hoffman here says, deal employer of record employment entity goes live next week in the UAE. We can hire people on another organization's behalf and take care of payroll, benefits, tax reporting, onboarding, and more. And a lot of companies are doing stuff like that. So congratulations to everybody who is. But Nitsan, I know that we've been inundated at Benivo with we made an offer, I think probably on about day 2 of this thing. We made an offer where we said that we would transfer funds to anybody for any company that had people in Ukraine. They couldn't get them, we couldn't get the money. We would transfer funds, and we're doing it completely free of charge and free of any cost. We're doing this purely on a pro bono thing. I posted that on LinkedIn. I think something like 30,000 people have since viewed that, and God knows, I mean, about 500 likes and reshares or something. And a lot of companies have taken us up on it, and that offer is still out there. So tell us a bit about what we're doing, Nitsan.
Yeah, we'll do that. First, I will just say that obviously we are all very saddened by this war and looking forward for peace to return. And it's a very unfortunate situation. And what we can do is just try to do our best to see how we can support. And we had quite a few corporates reaching out to us and asking for help to get payments. It's not a secret that we are experts in making payments faster than anyone else, but also in more methods, right? So many of the relocation companies can do bank transfers, but bank transfers are not relevant in this war because a lot of people lost access to their banks or cannot use any more bank accounts. So that's why companies contact us, and we've been able to help with making payments either by cash. So we are getting cash to people that are impacted by the war, had to move to other countries, don't have any of their assets, etc. So we're just getting them cash. We're also getting money on virtual prepaid cards that allows people to make online transactions. And we are also getting money to people via Google Pay and Apple Pay, right? So that makes them just like any credit card that you can tap and pay in places. So really solving urgent needs of access to funds. And as you mentioned, we do that completely free. We don't charge anything for doing that service. And we've been working with companies who are our clients, but also many that are not our clients. And we've getting your post on LinkedIn definitely got attention. And you know, I'm thinking about dozens of companies who have been reaching out to us and will be helping and able to get everything done within 24 hours to get them funds from the companies reaching out to us to starting and sending out funds that arrive instantly to employees. So it's good to know that our technology and our payment capabilities are helping in these cases. And the team wanted to do more. And especially our team in Armenia, as many of you would know, all our development, all our software is done in Armenia, and we're extremely proud of that. And a lot of the people who had to leave their home due to the war have reached to Armenia. And what we are launching is a welcome platform, a Benivo platform to help people settle in for those who are moving in Armenia, with tips and advice from our team members as well as others, the ability to connect, all the information they need to know about how to sort out in the new location. And we are launching that completely free of charge. So that is going live very soon. We will share the link in relevant comments. And if your company also had other locations that they need us to support, we are extending that offer and saying that we will support companies who need to provide support. And again, all of that will be done at no fees. So we want to help with payments. We want to help with settling in digital support and company-specific information. We are here. Just reach out to us, and we are moving very fast on that.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, Nitsan. So the message out there to anybody who's watching is that if you've got employees who you're struggling to pay in the area, then come to us. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Benivo client or not a Benivo client. We are happy to do whatever we can with funds transfers to those employees, and with no fee or commission, etc. Okay, so thank you so much, Nitsan. What we're going to do now is we're going to say goodbye to you, Nitsan, and we're going to talk about our ChangeMakers initiative. And we always have somebody on the show who is helping to do good, and we're helping them to do good as a ChangeMaker. And today I'm delighted to say our special guest is Begonya Armengol from Evotec. So let's hit the heart, hit the like, hit the applause, and let's welcome Begonya and the ChangeMaker to Benivo Bites today. Begonya, welcome to Benivo Bites. How are you and where are you in the world today?
Yeah, hi Brian. Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm in Barcelona right now. Even I'm usually based in Hamburg in the north of Germany. But well, these days the kids have school holidays in Germany, so we travel to the sunny Barcelona. Yeah.
And is Barcelona home? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, right.
Lovely. So first of all, Begonya, just tell us about Evotec for people that don't know. What does Evotec do?
Evotec, it's a drug discovery company. So in fact, what they do is that they develop in vitro biology, biomakers, and well, all these scientific stuff and topics in 6 countries. So the headquarters are in Hamburg, in Germany, and they have labs and offices in UK, France, Austria, Italy, and US. And well, it's a company that it has grown a lot in the last 2 years, from 2,000 to 4,000 employees. So in fact, well, from HR, it's very interesting, no? Because there are plenty of things to create and to do, to organize. In terms of global mobility, well, my challenge is to create everything from scratch, because they did not have anything regarding global mobility. So policies, processes, suppliers, everything. So happy to assume this challenge. Yeah.
And you're a passionate believer in technology.
Yeah, I'm passionate about technology because I think that it has improved plenty of things in our everyday life, personal life and professional life, and well, everything, no? Apps in schools, apps in companies, apps in public transport. So I think that companies will have to develop also apps and programs and software and platforms to support employees. And I think that in global mobility, that I have been transferred 3 times, I think that it's important also to support employees from a technology perspective, to simplify processes, to reduce time, and to become more agile and lean, let's say. Yeah.
Okay, and tell us about the charity that you support, or we help you to support. So, because the way it works, but anybody who wants to be a change maker, just to get it out there, is that if you're passionate about technology and you want to meet with other global mobility people around the world who also share a passion for technology, then reach out to us, become one of your change makers. There's a very small time commitment on your part. It's only about an hour or so a month, or maybe even less, but it's not a big time commitment. But we in return make a donation to any charity that you nominate. So tell us about the charity that you've nominated, Begonya.
Yeah, so Fundació Pasqual Maragall, it's a foundation, well, it's an association here in Barcelona that they fight, or they research to help Alzheimer disease. So in fact, it's a foundation that it was created in 2008. For Pasqual Maragall's family. Pasqual Maragall was the mayor of Barcelona for some years, and then the president of the Catalan government for some other years. And well, and suddenly he was diagnosed by Alzheimer, and then they decided not to create this association to really support overall families and caregivers, no, that really need to deal with this disease, that it's very consuming and it's sometimes depressing for caregivers. So in fact, that they have therapy groups for caregivers to support them, specialists and psychologists that support family members that are struggling, no, with this disease. And from the other side, they are investigating, they are researching on how to detect Alzheimer, how to discover the first symptoms, and how to, let's say, trying to reduce the Alzheimer, because it's it's a disease that it's like an epidemic, no, of the century, and it's something that I have not been closely affected by this, but I think I've seen so many friends really struggling with this, and well, I've met people, no, that had their own lives, and suddenly it has changed, no, suddenly it changes, and I think that it's a pity, no, that we die forgetting our lives, and I think that it's important, no, that we really grant that people, and we all deserve that people die remembering who they are, no, if their lives and their professions and everything, and let's try to support this association to reduce the anxiety and the feeling that this is caused to the families.
Absolutely. Begonya, it's a horrendous disease, and it's so good everything that you're doing to support the charity and also to support technology in mobility. Sadly, we're going to have to say goodbye to you now, and we're going to bring on our producer just to talk a little bit about other events that are going on, and then straight after that we're going to be going into a discussion about mobility at Mondelez. So everybody, let's say a big thank you to Begonya. Hit the heart, hit the likes, hit the applause, and let's say goodbye to Begonya and welcome to the show to Tali Goren. Thank you, Begonya. Tali, hi.
Hi, Brian. Hi. I'm going to be really quick today because we're running out of time. So I just wanted to quickly mention our demo event that is going to happen on the 17th of March. And Beth Nielsen will lead this demo and will focus on Benivo's new AI-driven smart expense management system. And I have to tell you that I participated in one of these previous demo events, and I can highly recommend it. It's very intimate, lots of time for questions, and really going into the details of how the system can significantly improve employees' experience and save a whole lot of money. And one more event that I want to invite you to is this one. It's the BAM conference, which is happening this year in March 17th in the San Francisco Bay Area. And Benivo is hosting the BAM welcome reception on March 16th. And we'll be also sponsoring the actual event on the 17th. And we will be attending it. So it will be a wonderful opportunity to come and meet the team.
So if you're out there in the Bay Area, then please do attend that event. And then Tali, the other thing I just want to mention whilst I've got you on the show is that we've got the Rising Stars, which are the nominations are open. We're getting loads of nominations coming in. Just a message out to everybody out there in LinkedIn world is that the Rising Stars is meant to be in-house professionals only, i.e. corporate only. So please, we have had a number of nominations for suppliers. Please, we're going to
definitely keep them for the next one. But this time,
but this time is corporate only. So please do.
And I will post the links.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If there's people on your team that you think are worthy of a nomination, the rule is that we're looking for people who've got either less than 10 years experience of global mobility or who are under the age of 35. And if there's people like that, then let's give them a really big shout out and nominate them for the Rising Stars. Okay, so I'm going to move straight on and we're going to go and meet our Jennifer Ah Whaye from Mondelez and also a couple of Benivo guys who've been working with her to talk about technology at Mondelez. So without further ado, I'm going to bring them on. So everybody, let's hit the heart, hit the like, hit the applause, say see you later to Talia, and a big, big welcome to Mondelez and Jennifer Ah Whaye. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
From Benivo, but Jennifer, special welcome to you. And I see Anya Hans says, so I believe used to work with you, didn't she, at Mondelez? So nice to see that, and big shout out to you, Anya. So Jennifer, tell us a little bit about Mondelez. Tell us a bit about the brands that the company has out there, because it may well be there's people out there who don't really know the company, but everybody will know your brands.
Sure, definitely. Before I do that, I want to say a big hi to Anya. She's the one who brought me to Mondelez. So thanks to her, I'm here today. Hi, Anya, and everyone else that I may know who's on the show. Yes, Mondelez, we are a snacking company, a leading company in biscuits and chocolate, candy and gum. But the name may not resonate with many of you because we do we have changed names over the years. So some of
don't say the origin of the name, because I'm going to do that as a fun fact in a moment. But tell us about your brands.
Sure, but some of the brands that are maybe iconic to us and maybe well known around it would be Oreo in North America, Cadbury for the UK and some part of Europe, Milka for Central Europe, and Lu for France, right, and many others.
Okay, so we always like to have a little bit of a fun fact. So we'll get a fun fact out there. And the question is this, and I'd love people in LinkedIn to answer the question, although not you, Anya, because I'm sure you know the answer, but everybody else out there in LinkedIn will. What's the origin of the name Mondelez or Mondelez? I sometimes pronounce it. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it sometimes. But why is Mondelez called Mondelez? Where did the name come from? So if people in LinkedIn world want to have a guess about that, and we'll tell them the answer in a moment. But before we do, Jennifer, just tell us a bit about your mobility program at Mondelez.
Sure. I would say we are a medium-sized program, right, compared to many companies out there, especially that over the past few years, that has definitely been impacted with regards to, COVID and other crises around the world. We have our traditional types of assignments, which are typically long-term, short-term assignments. And then we, over the past, I would say 4 to 5 years, definitely increased the number of what we call permanent transfers around the world. And that was really part of the program where we wanted to open postings or job availabilities to everyone around the world in the aim to create more diversity to our workforce, right? Directly into D&I wanted to create a diversified workforce around the world. So we needed to bring them, from one place to the other. And it is in that space that we connected with Benivo to specially support us in the program where we were moving people on permanently from one place to the other. We are a partially outsourced model. We have a central global mobility team placed around the world. We work with many service providers. Some of them, I'm sure, are here on the show interested to hear where we are going. And part of our journey at the moment, right, I started leading the program only last year, took it from another amazing person who was leading the program before me to continuing to the development of the program. Where we are going is really to try to, use technology to create efficiencies in many aspects of our program in order to bring it to the next level. Hopefully we get there.
Okay. And I think some of the audience have worked out where the name comes from, but just put us out of our misery. Tell us about the origin of the name.
Yeah, so, I was having a laugh about that as well. I hope I recall, right? It's 10 years ago already. It's really about, yes, you're right, Delise is about delicious, and monde is French for the world. So it's really about the word is delicious. It's the word of snacking, trying to bring joy to people through a delicious world. That's
absolutely lovely. And so, Jennifer, you're originally from Mauritius, is that right?
That is correct, if you guys know where it is.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Lovely part of the world, but you're currently now in Zurich.
That is correct. I've left Mauritius quite a long time ago. I think the moment I turned an adult, I did leave. I've lived in Singapore for a very long time, and that's where I've joined Mondelez. I started my career in the engineering industry, have been in the snacking world for the past 10 years, actually, since I've moved to Mondelez. And again, Mondelez has created quite a few opportunities for us and moved to Zurich about 8 years ago. Okay.
And so let's talk about your program and some of the issues that, that you've been solving. And I know it's very much a process, but as I understand it, your program was quite traditional, and the journey you're on is to move it or to self-serve, but maybe to balance self-serve with concierge. You want to just tell us a little bit about what that journey is, and what do we mean by, this is the phrase, I think, when we were chatting earlier, balancing self-serve with concierge. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. And I think it's more about a little bit of history, right? Beginning of January 2021, the global mobility team moved into what we call the integrated business services model within Mondelez, right? And GBS organization really leverage technology and self-service to create efficiencies in the business, right? You need something, you raise a ticket, you try to ask for it. Trying to move our program, which typically, when you are, we were dealing typically with executives, talents at the top level of the organizations, and going towards self-service, there was a little bit of a contradiction, right? My time is towards generating a huge part of the company's revenue, and here you are telling me to go and do that. It should be to another use. Whereas at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, we were trying to move more people globally, permanently, in more cost-effective program, right? So how do we create that balance in terms of the service delivery that we are trying to provide to all our employees, knowing that our team is not broad. We tap on multiple other internal teams to do that. Hence why is, where do we create certain elements about self-service, and where do we still have that concierge approach to for the identified talents that we are going to be there and holding them throughout their journey. So in terms of self-service, we thought, typically, if you are looking at the junior level in the organizations raising their hands, they're really out there for an adventure. They want to move around the world. They want to have that international experience. And, they are more into technology, right? They use their phones. They can go online to do multiple stuff. So partnering with Benivo was really looking at that population, not necessarily they are junior, but just by the definition of who are these people who are moving onto those package into the self-service. And then we kept the traditional approach, more hand-holding for what we call the executives and the top talent who really have a very short time to integrate the new locations because they have to get the business going, right? That's why we have moved them, in order to create a higher growth return on investment, or to lead in terms of the growth strategy. So the moment they land into the new country, they have to focus on the business. So we had to do things for them instead of that self-serving.
So there's a big time efficiency of people self-serving, that people can waste so much time when they, you need them focused on the job, just handling their own move, and that there's time efficiency. What I want to do now is maybe bring you into the conversation, Tom, and just ask the question. Really, we've talked about the Mondelez program, and I'd like to maybe talk a little bit about how technology is supporting that, and maybe we could, if do a quick demo as well, and maybe just show us a little bit about live. So this is not sort of a dummy demo. Let's show live what it is that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to put my screen on the
there we go.
Screen up, I can talk through. So yeah, I mean, we've spoken a bit about kind of self-service and empowering people to be self-sufficient. And obviously, to be self-sufficient and to self-serve, first of all, you need to know what you need to do and how you need to do it. When you're going to be relocating, there's lots of tasks that need to be completed. As Jennifer said, some of these people, they're probably doing it for the first time. So there's all these things that they're doing, and we'll need to be guided on how to do that. So that's why in the platform, we've created the Actions Hub, which give digital briefs on all of the tasks that they'll need to complete during their relocation, and also ordered in due date and aided by notifications. So you can see exactly what's coming up, what's perhaps overdue, and you can use that to help manage your move. So it's all things like getting guidance on booking temporary accommodation, opening your bank account, setting up a mobile, or making your travel arrangements. So in this example, you can see that this employee, they'll need to book their own travel, but they'll be able to get it expensed, and they can see exactly where they can get that expensed. And then they can read through to understand exactly the type of flight that they'll need to book to be confident that they're going to be reimbursed. But to be properly self-sufficient, obviously, instructions and guidance is one thing, but to make really good decisions and to know that you're making the right choices, you need to know what other people have done in the past. So we also balance that with what we call social insights. So in this example, we can see that previous people that have moved to Birmingham, as I'm doing in this case, which I think is the Cadbury's location, hence why I chose that one. And the most popular ones that they've used to book their flights have been Skyscanner. But what we can also see is the reviews from previous people that have gone through the platform. So we can actually see that Google Flights has been the one that people have rated the highest. So the next person coming into the platform can copy what has gone well for those other people and save themselves time, as we've also spoken about. Kind of all these decisions, you don't need to investigate yourself, do lots of research. We're able to present this to people based on knowledge and experiences of people like them, so they can help make better decisions. And the platform works in the same way. So lots of areas of the platform includes the same guidance and the same advice and social insights. And we've obviously also spoken about that balance with the concierge element. So where there are services, other companies involved, giving support, it can be confusing who's helping with what support they're getting, who they need to go to for different things. So one of the things that we also do quite early on in the recommended actions is to learn about your relocation benefits. So in a single place, so it kicks off here just with an overview video of the benefits that they're going to get. But then we can actually go to a single place where the employee can manage and view all of the benefits that they are entitled to. They can see exactly who is going to be carrying them out, who's going to be supporting them, learn about the exact nature of the service, any options they have, and who to contact as well. So we're giving them guidance on exactly who they need to go to and kind of helping them with that potential confusion before it arises. But what if someone needs to provide a review or kind of give feedback in the moment? We can also, at any point in the service, whether it's completed or still in progress, an employee can write a review. So most services, most providers or companies, you'll generally get your feedback collected after something's completed. But that's obviously too late to actually do anything about it if the feedback provided was negative or there was an issue to raise. So being able to collect the feedback live and in the moment with a kind of pulse survey like this means that we can then actually escalate that, whether that be to Jennifer's team at Mondelez or whoever's involved in that step, to make sure we can actually make a tangible impact on fixing that potential issue. So that's kind of a little bit about how we're sort of balancing those two elements on the platform.
Okay, that's really helpful, Tom. And Nitz, I'll just bring the conversation over to you, because I know one of the things, and maybe Jennifer can comment too, that is attractive about the platform is the PayLater facility. So maybe Jennifer, if you can set a bit of background how you're using PayLater, and then Nitsan, I don't know if that's something that we could demo as well.
Sure, can definitely share what's happening there. So as I mentioned, right, the program is targeted towards those permanently moving. And as you can imagine, that comes with quite some financial burdens, right? And depending on the package that they get, they may have quite a broad relocation support or quite a limited one. And the PayLater does facilitate by giving them additional financial support. I believe most of them use that for housing deposits. And the way that it is structured is, again, to create efficiencies from a corporate perspective. We do not need to get involved, right? It is set up with Benivo. There are some agreements in the background that has been done, and the employee make the request directly. They get the payment. The repayment is dealt with with Benivo. And so far, all the feedback that we have received, it is really an appreciated benefit. It may not be, a significant amount, but it is really useful into those few months where they do need finances quite quickly. Sometimes opening bank accounts may get delayed for paperwork, right? Because they don't have the right forms, the right documents. And these are all available benefits that they could tap on to make their relocation, as any relocation can be quite stressful, less smoother in a way, and less financially a burden.
Okay, so thank you for that. And Nitsa, maybe you could share your screen and show us a little. Here we go. Right.
All right. So yeah. So one of the things that are fun in working on Mondelez is that obviously the team is innovative and forward thinking. So that's great. The other thing, it's very easy to explain to my kids what is Benivo doing, right? We help bring the chocolate that they have at home and support the company behind. So they keep asking me if we can trade and get more of the chocolate, less of the payments. Maybe, Jennifer, we can talk about it offline. But more seriously, I think one of the things that are unique in our payment capabilities, and we talked a little bit about that earlier, right, when we were talking about support we are offering to people impacted by the war in Ukraine, is the ability to deliver funds to employees when they need it and in the methods that they need it. That means, even as Jennifer said, if they don't have yet a bank account, we have solutions for that. We can pass money directly to landlords. We can make payments to virtual card, to Google Pay, Apple Pay, different solutions that allow the employees to actually remove that burden and dramatically improve diversity and inclusion. Because for some of us, right, it sounds like small amounts, but for others, these are life-changing. And that is something that we've been seeing over and over on the feedback coming from Mondelez as well as from others. I wouldn't be able to start this job without this financial support. So we are making a big impact on social mobility and improving diversity. And let's look how it works. On the platform for the employee, normally they go, one of the first places they go to is money. Always curious about that. And I actually choose a location in China, so I can withdraw the money here in RMB, in yuans. And the process is very simple. I go, I click here, I complete a quick form online, and then I choose how do I want to get paid, whether it's to my bank account, to a landlord bank account, to a digital wallet, to a virtual card, all the examples I gave before. And that's the full decision of the employee. And this is a relationship directly between Benivo to the employee, which simplifies the process in terms of compliance and payroll, and also make sure that it's all done within minutes. There's no need to sign forms separately, etc. I can review here the terms, I agree to them, and then I'll see what will I need to be providing, and I can provide that information and go through this flow, answer the details about why do I need the funds, and our algorithm in the background, the AI algorithm, checks each and every of those applications and automatically make the transfer. So automatically pay the employee the amount. It goes as fast as between instant, right? So within 5 minutes, up to the longest it will take is 1 working day to most countries globally. So that's a little bit about the PayLater flow, how it works there. The employees then repay it back to Benivo. How can they repay it? Same way, with a card, with a bank account, with PayPal, however they want. They can repay it to us in monthly installments, where the first installments start after the first paycheck they receive in the destination. So making sure removing that financial stress and giving them the time to repay it in installments. Very important to say, it's interest-free, right? So the employees don't pay anything. There are no credit checks. So it's a fantastic tool for those who just move into a new location, need financial support, and really some of the positivity we get in feedback and the high scores we get is by creating that feeling that Mondelez is doing a bit more for me and provide me that additional support. And we are happy to play our part in that company culture.
Okay, and there's a question that's come in here, Nitzan, from Stephanie. She says, is the fund availability allowance entered by default, or does it have to be requested and reviewed by the company on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, no, it's by default available for the entire population. So Mondelez, and speaking in general, every corporate can decide who they want to offer PayLater to by policy or by population. It's not needed by individual. So let's say they can say early career or self-initiated move, but then maybe to my executives, I don't give that. Up to the corporate to decide how they want to structure. The platform is dynamic, so we are able to support that and show and remove that access to the funds based on that. But then by default, it's given to that population or that policy, whether that's location specific, etc. And then it's up to the employee to ask. So we make it a lot easier to the employee to ask. They don't need to come up and raise an exception and say, I actually have some financial background, can you help me? Because not everyone feels comfortable to go to their employer, especially when it's a new assignment or a new or joining the company. It's not comfortable. And often companies who start to work with us say, oh, in the past we had 2 to 3% of our people who were suffering and raised that. And then they can see the actual usage of PayLater, 30%, 40% of the employees, which shows that others had the need, but we're just too shy to raise that with the corporate. And when we talk about improving diversity, inclusion, and equity and inclusion, that's where a massive difference is being made.
Absolutely. So thank you for that demo, Nitzan. And maybe just say a few words about the compliance side of it and how compliance is handled there.
Yeah, so for many companies, especially those in highly regulated markets or companies where in specific locations, it's challenging to advance money to people ahead of their work start date or registration on the destination payroll. So what we are able to do is solve that gap. And because those funds are coming from Benivo, there's no need for that to involve payroll because it's not coming from the corporate and it's repayable. It's a cash advance that then the employee repays back in monthly installments. So it's something that we have set up in days with corporates, right? It doesn't require long processes. There's no need to integrate to payroll. There's no need for long approval processes. It's keeping it very simple, but on the other hand, providing that support and the agility to address every individual needs.
Okay, so thanks for that. We're pretty much out of time, but I'll just have one last question, if I may, for you, Jennifer. I mean, we said earlier that this was a process that you're going through. Where do you see this ending up, and what do you think your timescale is for going down that particular route?
Yeah, so we have been talking to them, right? So I think the end state is to use one platform where we are going to have all our providers present on it and able, as someone who has relocated, managing just the service providers via different platform is time consuming, right? So we're really looking forward where we have one technology platform that consolidate all the providers that our employee needs to use and can visually look at the status of their relocation from a timeline perspective. I know I've spoken to the Benivo team at length on that. We are starting slowly, baby steps at this point, but the faster we get there to this end state, the better it is for our team. I think that's definitely something that that has been asked by the organization, right? Visibility, transparency, but via technology. So anything that you can do via automation, this is what we are after.
Absolutely, and that's very much our vision too. So Jennifer, we really appreciate you having you on the show, and it's always great working with you, great seeing you. Let me bring Begonya and Julia and Tally, everybody back onto the show. So thank you all, everybody, for being on the show. Julia, thank you so much for your immigration update, and in particular about everything that's going on in Ukraine. These really are just difficult times for everyone. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody affected, and our gratitude goes out to everybody trying to help the people affected. So goodbye, everybody. We're back again next week when we're going to be talking about mobility with Sally Harris. So from me to all of you, all that remains is to say thanks for being on the show, and thanks for being in our audience. Goodbye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.